Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the White Belt MMA podcast. And it's an absolute pleasure to have on the show today Bellator Flyweight Randi Field and Manny Alfaro, who happens to be Randi Field's coach. So, how are you guys doing today?
We're great. Thank you very much.
Good. Yeah. So, I mean, like I was talking off camera with you guys, I appreciate you guys giving me the time, especially like days removed from your Bellator fight. And like, I get it, after your fight, you kind of just want to decompress, just not talk about the fight at all. But I kind of want to talk about your guys' journey to this point, because following your dreams, right? Like, I guess it's something that everyone can relate to. And that's one thing that I give you guys so much props for, because it's like, you guys were the people that kept on going. And then you guys are fighting for one of the biggest promotions, Bellator and MMA. So, let's just start about this. How Randi, how'd you get your start in the sport? And Manny, can you tell us your start in the sport as well?
Sure.
Yeah. So I would say for me, about 6 years ago, it's like I hit my rock bottom and I had nowhere to go. And then I decided to start taking up fitness, which then brought me into the gym, which then brought me to Manny, who was teaching boxing classes. And he had noticed like I had a lot of aggression and anger, and behind that was just fists of fury. And he ended up asking me one day to do pads with him after class. And he had told me that he never felt a girl hit so hard on the pad. And he asked if I'd be interested in fighting, which I said yes, which I had no idea what that entailed. It just kind of sounded cool at the time. But then I ended up completely changing my life and devoting it to fighting. And then he's been fighting for a very long time, and I'll let him.
Yeah, I was about 11 and a half years old, and I was brought to a boxing gym. And this was back in Chatham. It's called KO Boxing Club. And that was a long time ago. So when I walked in, I just immediately liked it. I was fortunate to have like natural talent, and my speed was my main thing. So I was noticed, and from there just kept going and winning fights, winning championships as a boxer. And then I would say about 15 years ago, maybe a little more, I was asked to join an MMA gym, and I did. And I had some like pretty cool and talented people that were showing me how to kick and showing me how to wrestle, which was very tough. Coming from boxing, I learned a lot of hard lessons, and so did my legs. So it was good. After that, it was just moving forward in MMA and boxing both at the same time. And currently now I'm still boxing. So
that's awesome, brother. And then like Manny, as Randi was mentioning earlier, is that when she came into the gym, you were coaching. So I actually want to ask you, how'd you get into coaching? Because like most of the times, fighters in their careers, they just strictly want to stay like in their path. They want to keep going just about them. But going into coaching, it's something that I guess so many people props for, because there you're not only giving the gift that you to learn, you're giving the gifts to people that are coming into the gym. You're teaching them about the martial arts. So Manny, how'd you get into coaching? And tell us about the first time that you saw Randi, because I know Randi, like you said, she came into the gym and then she fist of fury, as she said, right, showing the power and everything like that. So Manny, just tell us a little bit, how'd you get into coaching? And tell us about the first days that you saw Randi in the gym.
Well, I had I had quit fighting. I had gone to school. I was trying to set up a career, and education was very important to me. So I was focusing on that, and I decided I had broken my hand in a big tournament when I was younger. So I decided, I need to have a back fall, which now I do. I'm a nurse, which is great. So at one point I started coaching people, and I just realized, I still got this. I can do this just as well as everybody. So I decided to go back, and it just went really good from there. And I was winning fights, and everything was going my way. Other than the business of MMA, because it's a very tough business. The talent was there. It's just the connection and everything. I was so new into the sport that I couldn't move forward like I wish, I could have. Now that's like for me at that point, I was like, you know what? I still like coaching. So I did both. I was coaching and fighting at the same time. And I would do that with a few fighters. The day that Randi walked into the gym, there was a class at about, I think, 25 to 30 people. She just hopped in, didn't really pay attention to who she was because there's so many people. But one day we set up sparring. It was supposed to be light sparring. And I believe that the guy that was with her was kind of toying with her and like playing around, trying to like mess around. And he was much bigger. He was a football player from the University of Windsor. And what happened was, I think Randi kind of took offense to that and threw this wild overhand right. And as I turned around, I see her hit him, and the guy just folded like a towel right onto the mat. I ran over. I'm like, guys, it's light sparring. It's light sparring. So I sent her off to the side, and then I kind of helped the guy up. We sat him down, and I'm like, what the heck happened? And then I went to her. I'm like, this was supposed to be light sparring. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And then I was like, wait a minute, how the hell did you knock this guy out like that? I'm like, you weigh 100 like 20 pounds. So I said, can you stay after class? And I think she might have thought she was in trouble, but I said, I just want to do pads with you. So she had zero technique, but for some reason, the amount of power that she generated in her small little self was insane. And so I said, hey, like, look, you hit like a truck. I don't know where you're like coming from with all this power, but said, do you want to like try to fight? And she was like, okay. And it just went from there. And she changed her life. Everything changed from there on. I'm a pretty strict coach, so it really set her life into a certain momentum and direction.
That's awesome. And then, Randi, just to, talk a little bit more about that sparring session. Was that your first time sparring, or was it you kind of had a couple of sparring rounds under your belt? Because like your coach said that it was light sparring. So just hearing that, like, you hit that guy with like a vicious, a vicious, like, was it a right hand, a hook? I'm not sure what it was. Regardless, you knocked the dude down. So, tell us a little bit about that. So was it your first, sparring round, or you had a couple under your belt already?
Oh, that was my first sparring round.
Well, the first in the gym.
In the gym.
On the streets.
I never started fights on the streets though. Okay. So girls just, a lot of times they'd start fights with me and I'd finish them. But I've had some vicious fights on the street. Like I had a girl bite right through my chin one time.
Oh man.
Yeah. Like I'm saying like, this was my first MMA cut. And I was thinking like, I've never been cut in a fight, but then I did remember I did get bit on the chin before. That was pretty vicious.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, that was my first time sparring. And I guess even to this day, I am known for being a little bit aggressive, and I'm trying to find my balance. So it's either I'm going 20% or I'm going 100%, and just trying to find that mediocre is it's really tough. Actually, it's like really put me to the test, and it's made me question myself. But I know that after seeing what I was able to do this weekend, I know that I have so much potential. So yeah, that's
no, 100%. And like you said, it's like, if you've never had that like aggressive style, like who knew if like Manny would have like asked you to stay after class and hold the pad. So, and then I said, like you said, it's like Manny asked you if you wanted to fight. So tell us a bit about that. It's like, when he asked you to fight, I know you said you're like, right away, you're like, yeah, I'm down for it. But was there like a bit of nerves, like on the inside? You're like, oh crap, what am I getting myself into? Like, it's should I be doing this or what? So like, just tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what were your feelings like when Manny asked you, like, hey, would you want to go down this path?
Well, I even have a lot of people come to me now and they're like, oh, I want to fight. And then, like at first, yeah, it sounds so cool. You're like, oh my God, yeah, for sure.
Didn't know what she was getting.
Yeah, you have no clue what it is. Like your whole life gets dedicated to it. And then also, yeah, it's great to punch people in the face. That's so much fun. But have you ever been punched in the face and been able to calm down? Because you need to be able to do that as well. So I know that for me, one of my first times he brought me sparring, I sparred this girl who was 15 years old in a boxing ring, and she beat me up. I was 24, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I left and I cried because I was like, how did a 15-year-old just beat me up? And you realize it takes so much more than just I'm tough or yeah, like I've been in a couple street fights, so I got this. Like, no, you have to be tactical. You have to be smart. There's so much that goes into MMA that I really had to harness. And also back then, I would say I had a drinking problem. And that's where a lot of that anger came from. I had a lot of demons that I never dealt with, and I never knew how to deal with them. So this actually became an outlet for me, and it became a positive outlet. And I actually just the night of my fight, I celebrated 2.5 years sober. So that was huge. And it was all just, everything was really emotional, and it just kind of all came together, and the stars are aligned, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I'm really glad he asked me to fight.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's like the one thing that I love about martial arts is it can be therapeutic. Like you said, it can be an outlet for so many people. I know it is for me. I train jiu-jitsu. I do a little boxing, but like you said, it's like that's the one thing that's awesome about martial arts, just so therapeutic, and it's it can help so many people in so many lives. And Randy, just keep on going with this. It's like you get to that first fight, like your first amateur fight. And I know you said it's like, yeah, like at first it's like, yeah, it's cool and this and this and that. But like you said, then you realize, all the work that goes into preparing for a fight. And then you finally get to that moment. So tell us about the nerves. Like you're in the locker room, you're warming up with Manny and everything like that. So you're about to step out. What are the feelings like? What are the thoughts going through your head?
Can I tell you what happened that morning?
Yeah.
The morning of the fight. I don't know if she wanted me to say it, but I'm going to because it needs to be known. This happens to many, many, many fighters. For example, I even still, after I have about, I think 76 fights, you still feel those little jitters in your stomach. Mm-hmm. I've developed coping mechanisms to be able to control it. Over the years, I just realized this is what I have to do to go out there and feel good when I step in. Randy's getting there. The morning of the fight, so we had the whole week. It went perfect. I was watching her do all her stuff, and she looked like on point. I'm like, she's gonna kill this girl. Holy crap, look at how good she looked. Everything is just exactly how I pictured it. We worked so damn hard. Wake up the morning of the fight, and she looks over and she's like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, I am so anxious right now. My chest is like gonna pop out of my chest, or my heart is gonna pop out of my chest. And I'm like, oh crap. So try to calm her down. We calmed her down. I calmed her down best I could, and then she did. She calmed down. And then she still had some anxiety throughout the day. And by the time we went to warm up and everything, she was still anxious. And we, did the whole warm up. We had the other coaches were going with her. I was observing, and I could see that the mindset was not there. Even I took a picture of her, and the facial expression is very clear. And I was hoping, because for me, if I ever felt like that when I get into the ring, I don't mind getting hit. So when I get hit, it wakes me up. So not everybody is like that. And then you can tell how you felt going in. But that morning, she almost had an anxiety attack, which it's a very mental game, and the mentality has to be controlled. The anxiety has to be controlled, or you can perform, below, what you are as a fighter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was tough for me because I know I felt so good all week. My aggression was there. Everything, just more than 2-punch combinations were flying off. And just that morning, I don't know if it was maybe talking to my mom, talking to my daughter, just kind of like really, I think maybe even going to the venue was kind of like, oh my God, this is so big. And I've never seen anything like that. I've never even been a part of it, like going to watch fights in a venue like that. Mm-hmm. So I know that I felt the pressure of it. And also I maybe was on my phone a little bit too much because, I know I was the underdog 100%, and I was off for 2 years. I had a career-ending injury that I was very lucky to be able to go over to the States back in December and have reconstructive surgery on my elbow.
Dr. Schneider.
So yeah, Dr. Schneider's the man. Yeah, it's a lot. And I remember making my pro debut was in my hometown, and yeah, I felt the jitters and all that, but I didn't feel anything like what I felt on Saturday. It was different, and it was just a flood of emotions, and I'm very proud of myself. I know regardless of how I was feeling, I was actually able to perform very well for at least 3.5 minutes. But once you're dealing with that all day, it's really exhausting on you. And I even watched myself, and I looked tired. And usually, I've fought 3 rounds.
I fought 5 rounds before.
I fought 5 rounds before. Yeah, I know that. I have that stamina. But that's something that was really disappointing. Even when she submitted me in the second round, at the end I was like, come on, I know I can go 3 rounds. So, but you know what? I know that I gained a lot of fans this weekend, so that was amazing. So I will be back, and I will show the world what I'm capable of doing.
Definitely.
Yeah, one other, I guess, supernatural or really good talent that Randi has is that she's tough as nails. I don't see too many people take a solid shin to the face and move forward with punches. She does that all the time. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I was watching that fight, and then like Manny was saying, it's like, Randi, I don't know how you kept on going forward. And like you said, it's like you fought a great first round, and it's like you said, it's like tough as nails. And Randi, I just can't wait to see your next move in Bellator. So as of right now, I know it's days removed from the fight, but do you guys kind of have a plan of when's the next time we're going to see you guys in there?
Well, afterwards, we did talk to the matchmakers, and they said, as soon as I'm ready to go, let them know, and we'll go again, because I do have a multi-fight contract. So I wish I had a better first fight back, just to kind of get the whole experience. But you know what? I couldn't imagine having the pressure of having to keep an undefeated record. I mean, at least I got it at 2, and I went in and I held my own with a very, very strong competitor. And I'm super excited to see who they're going to match me up with next, and how that fight's going to go too.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see that. And yeah, man, like I was telling you guys off camera, I really appreciate the time you guys have given me. So, if I have to ask one last question, I guess this one question would be, is, this whole podcast and everything like that, I love interviewing men and women that are following their dreams, and they're fighting in the sport of MMA. But I kind of want to ask you guys, it's as an advice for someone that's following their dreams and trying to make their passion happen as a career, what advice would you guys give to me and many others that are trying to follow their dreams? Because like you said, it's 2 years 2 years ago that you could have had a career and an injury, but then you're able to make the return back to MMA, and not just to MMA, but to Bellator. So Just, can you give us some advice to people following their dreams, and, how would you kind of get through those hard times?
My advice would definitely be to make sure that you have a good support system, somebody to talk to, because this is so much more than just being strong and tough. You have to have the mentality for it, and you need to make sure that you're constantly checking in with yourself and making sure that you're okay, and I think that was something that I probably slacked on quite a bit, because I still find myself doubting myself at a lot of points. But I know after watching, and I know after being on the big stage and hearing what everybody had to say, like, I have what it takes. I need to put in that work. And this is something you have to consistently work on every single day. I wish that I could make this my full-time job, but unfortunately right now I still have to work so I can pay the bills. But eventually, I'd love to make this a full-time career, and it's something that has to be a full-time career.
Yeah.
So,
and Manny, and for you, like, what advice would you give to people following their dreams and trying to pursue their passions as a career?
I would say that you have to love it and have a passion for it to the extent that it becomes your life. Let it become your life. Even though you have to go through the rigors of your ordinary life, this is not ordinary. And it's something that's, not for everyone, but when you know that you're a fighter, you know that you love it, that it's a passion, and that you'll be willing to sacrifice a lot for it. And that's what it takes. It takes the amount of sacrifice that Randy and I have had to put in, to fight, just to fight. The expenses that are unrealized by general public are insane. Like, I can imagine that we spend, maybe in the last couple years, close to $100,000 on training camps and food and everything that we've had to do so that we can prepare. Even with me in boxing, like, I've had, to make so many sacrifices, and, I've had hiccups, but you cannot give up. It has to be something that no matter what, as long as you're breathing, you can go and try to do it. That's kind of like the mentality you have to have. Otherwise, you're going to be very disappointed a lot, because this is a life and a game of disappointments until you get there. And then once you're under the lights, it's something that is unmatched. There is no disappointment in that. You'll never have another feeling like that.
That's awesome, guys. So, once again, I want to appreciate, the time you guys have given me. So before we go, do you guys want to plug in your social media so everyone watching can go and follow you guys?
Yeah, my social media is just my name, Randi Field. Please do not try and add me on Facebook, because I will not accept. And
what's your Instagram?
My Instagram is my name. Yeah.
My Instagram is Manny, MANNY, box, BOX 83.
Awesome, guys. So once again, thank you. And to everyone watching, peace.